Hi, Allison. I just want to let you know that it's Josette here. Just wanted to let you know that I am getting my kid out the door for school. So yeah, if I pop out, that's why.
Yes, of course. Just do what you need to do. Come and go as you need.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for coming. Okay, we'll go ahead and start. So I don't have any slides today. I didn't feel like I had enough to present to make slides. We're going to practice together the next step of the meditations. And most of the information related to that we've already covered in the previous slides. Um, so next time I'll probably add some slides, but not as much as we've done in the past. So just real quick, I wanted to go over that I need the monthly check-ins. I'm still missing a good bit for November and December, and even a few from October. So I need to get those and then the midway questionnaires. It's the same questions that you answered in the beginning on the intake questionnaire. So this is the midway one. And it's important that we get it in soon so that it's not too close to the end. So we may still go on beyond this month. We might do a little bit more tracking after this, just to give some practice with this final phase. And then getting used to doing this final phase with intentions. Um, so a few things that I wanted to say before we practice. Well, so far, any questions? Any questions on the meditations that we've been doing so far? Um, or anything that anyone's noticing that you wanted to talk about? Well, just let me know at any time if there is. Um, so in this exercise that we're going to do today, it's similar to the one from last time. The last one was the single serpent, so where the energy is rising up the center of the spine and covering both two sides of the brain and the goal was to create coherence within the system. And then we added an intention to that. And so we're going to do the same today, but it's the double serpent. So it's going to be, I'll have an image to show you. It's going to be that the energy splits into two serpents and crisscrosses at each of the energy centers, moving up the spine to create coherence in each of those places. So a greater sense of coherence within the self and in the system. And then at the end, we'll add an intention for the relational field at the end of that. So basically, we're activating the vital energy in our system. We are creating a greater level of coherence um, all the way up the spine, um, which makes us or the field more responsive to our intentions because in the quantum world, intentions work, not so much in the material world, but in the quantum world, it does. And so as you become more magnetized, as you become more magnetic, your system is more that way. there's a power to that. And you're becoming a creator and a magnetic attractor. So that's why we're adding the intentions. And that's why we're getting into this state. We're wanting to get into a connected magnetic state first before we introduce the intention. And so the intentions we want to somehow, as we're setting them, intend that the intention itself is aligned with infinite and unconditional love and the greater good and the evolution of consciousness, something like that. That way it gives it some room to evolve even more or higher than what you might be able to state at the time. And so I'll pull up the image that I want to share. Can you all see that image? Okay. So this image is titled The Pathway of the Two Serpents. So on the left side, so as you're meditating, and we're going to practice this today, but I wanted to show you this first, and I'll leave this image up so it can help us. The energy is going to split into two pathways, and the one on the left is a dark or a black serpent representing the void or the darkness, the unknown of creation. And the right side is represented by a gold serpent, and that represents the light of creation. And when two alchemical opposites meet in an alchemical container, there's great potential for profound energy. And so we're wanting to create this expansive energy. We're wanting in that sort of a state to introduce our intention, because the idea is that when we're in this expansive state and there is profound energy, that the intention will be more powerful. And if we're accessing the energetics to introduce a change, it should be less heavy lifting in the material world. It should inform the material world. It should help us out on a more foundational level to produce change in our physical existence, our material existence. We're just not going at it directly materially. So any questions on that, on this image, or on the idea of two serpents in the meditation, visualizing that instead of a single one? And I'm going to step by step talk you through it, but basically the serpents are going to be crisscrossing along the spine until they reach the head. And so you can see in the image that the little cup in the head that the two serpents are on either side of represents the pineal gland. And so in the exercise, it's like the serpents are on the little cup, and the pineal gland is dripping its excretions. So as you visualize that, it is supposed to help the body to actually do that. And the pineal gland there's research on that being very involved in meditation and expansive experiences. So that's why we're wanting to involve it in our meditation, and we're wanting to invite it and encourage it to do its thing to help us out. So any questions on that before we start?
Yes. Actually, not necessarily a question, but it's more like the concern that I'm not focused enough, and that when I do focus on the serpent, um, that I'm not necessarily feeling it. I do get insights during the meditation, and I'm just curious about the other experiences. Like, is anyone feeling that kind of energy going up their spine, literally like feeling it, or is it more insightful experiences? If you understand, yeah, if
Yes.
I'm making
Yes, it makes
myself
sense
clear.
what you're asking. And I'll invite anyone else to share their experiences and I'll share mine too. But does anyone else want to? Well, I'll go first and then anybody else who wants to share can follow up. But it's totally fine that you don't feel any sort of sensation of energy moving up the spine. Not some people do feel that, but not everyone does. And so I wouldn't focus on that at all.
Okay.
Because your
Okay.
intention is what matters. It doesn't mean that nothing is happening just because you don't feel it.
Mhm.
Um, and the fact that there are insights is, that's more important than the sensation. When we feel the sensations, we're just becoming more sensitive to it. Um, but I think it's more important that you're getting some insights. And if there's no insights, that doesn't mean that nothing's happening either. Things can be happening on deeper levels that we don't have access to on our surface level awareness. So
Mhm.
it's all okay. Um,
Yeah.
and I have felt there are times where I do feel some sensations, but most of the time once I've finished with the visualization, whether it's the single serpent or the two serpents, once that's been established, then I let it go. And it's more of like a pervasive feeling of, I've kind of lose the focus on any sort of sensations.
Yes, yes. Okay, that's helpful. Like the connecting to the pervasive experience. I've actually had to uh not like I've had to not listen to the Tom Kenyon
Mhm.
meditation so that I could focus on my own and like my
Yeah,
own experience without
right.
having the words. Yeah.
That's the goal because you want to, um, eventually get to the point where I think it's always good to revisit the guided meditations,
Yeah.
especially when we're struggling to connect inward. But when you're able to connect inward, it's great to be able to guide that within yourself and not need to listen to anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that is it's I just started doing it like 2 days ago, and
Mhm.
it's helped me tune in more. So I think that was maybe part of the
Yeah,
challenge. Yeah.
yeah,
But connecting to that person. Okay, okay, we have the idea of the snakes or the concept, and now okay, let's let it go. Let's
yep,
like
yep.
feel into it.
You're
Yeah.
letting it go
Mhm.
because you want, the visual is just, it's not about snakes at all. It's not like there's
Yeah.
really these snakes within us rising. It's just
Yeah.
it's just a visual representation to because that's, that reminded people of the energy movement reminded people of how a snake moves, so that's
Yes.
the image that was chosen, but it's really not about snakes at all.
Yes. No, I'm clear. I'm clear about that too. Yeah. It's a great visual, but yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay,
thank
thank
you
you.
about
Yeah.
that. Well, thanks for sharing. Anybody else want to share anything else about that or what their experiences have been like? And you certainly don't have to. Okay, so any other questions or observations or anything at all?
Yeah, would you be able to email that graphic?
Yes, definitely. I'll email and make a note so I don't forget.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions or anything before we start? I'm thinking that will there's a few more things that I think we can add in after this. The next Zoom, I'll do some slides, and I think I think a good next step after everyone is used to doing this, which we'll need a little practice on this, but then the next step I think would be good to have some practice for those who are ready on following this process self-guided. Um, and I think that should only be done if this feels like we should only be doing this double serpents if we've felt that sensation or I don't want to say sensation because not everybody feels a sensation, but you feel like that connection has been made and there's um, either a sensation of the moving upwards or that pervasive feeling of connectedness, something like that, and then moving on to the pathway of the two serpents, and then moving on to self-guiding without listening to anything. And it really doesn't matter whether you're listening to something or not, it's just about the experience. But I think it will be nice for those who want to and are ready to practice it on their own. Because, like Josette said, for her at least, she's having a deeper experience or a more felt experience when she's not listening to something else because at some point that for some that can become distracting because they're having a different experience. Their own experience is evolving in a different way. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start the meditation. So we probably won't last the whole hour. Give me just a second to get something in the background. Okay, so you can go ahead and find a comfortable position. Making sure that your spine is straight or supported. Bringing your awareness inward. Placing your attention on your breath, just noticing it, being present with it. Noticing your inhales and the exhales and the stillness in between. And follow your breath for a few rounds like this, just observing it, being present with the flow. Invoking the presence of all aspects of yourself that can be useful and helpful to you. And invoking all aspects of the non-physical assistance available to you in infinite and unconditional love, infinite intelligence, and infinite empowerment. With gratitude for this presence and assistance. You can move some of your awareness to the lower abdomen and the pelvic area. So as you inhale with the awareness in the lower abdomen, building and activating energy in the pelvic area. And for now, the exhales, our awareness remains in the lower abdomen. Each inhale and exhale, strengthening the energetic presence there. Building the life force. As you inhale, that energy expanding in the lower abdomen, filling all the nooks and crannies with that energetic presence. As you inhale, the abdomen expanding outward. As you exhale, slightly contracting, and maybe a slight raise in the pelvic floor. As you inhale, expansiveness. As you exhale, the belly moves towards the spine. A continuous building, the power and presence of life force within you. You may feel at some point the energy naturally wanting to rise up the spine. And when that's ready to happen, we're going to split the stream of energy into two streams. On the left, represented by the black serpent, and on the right, represented by the gold serpent. The left represents the void and the unknown, creation, and the right represents the light of creation. And these two parts of your energy will start to rise upward, the gold on the right, the black on the left. And they'll crisscross in the lower abdomen. The black crosses over to the right, and the gold crosses over to the left. And as they move upward, the gold back over to the right as it enters the solar plexus, and the black crosses back over to the left side. Next, the gold serpent crosses to the left as it enters the heart, and the black crosses to the right. As they enter the throat chakra, the gold serpent returns to the right side, and the black returns to the left side. Finally, meeting at the center of the head, with the gold hovering over the right side, with the black hovering over the left side. Both of them facing each other, with the pineal gland between them. And it's not important to keep track of where they are crisscrossing. Just imagining them rising and crisscrossing, not keeping track of the colors is fine. The gold starts on the right, ends on the right, and the black starts on the left and ends on the left. Just placing your awareness in the lower abdomen on the inhale, the energy rising on the exhale, moving through the pathway of the serpents. You can imagine them moving or writhing with the energy of the breath rising through them. No need to keep track of where they crisscross. If you want, you can visualize in more detail the pineal gland, represented by the fangs of the gold serpent, releasing white liquid into the cup that's in the center of the head. The black serpent releasing red, releasing into the cup. Both offering what they have to offer into creation. Creating of something new from the two. And if you're ready at any point to let go of the image, you can let go of the image. And just be in the expansiveness or the coherence or the connectedness of the state. If it helps to maintain the image, then keep the image. We'll add now our intention. So we'll intend with the presence and assistance of our non-physical assistant and infinite and unconditional love, and in the light of infinite and unconditional love, we'll intend for the field of the relationship that we're in to evolve, for the thriving of all involved, including yourself, for the field to evolve with meaning and purpose, aligned with the evolution of consciousness. Just holding presence for that intention to take place in the field of the relationship. Giving gratitude as though it's already done, because we are creating it energetically first. With an openness and receptivity for it to manifest when and how it is best. And within yourself, give gratitude to yourself and to your non-physical assistants for the help in this. And you can start to bring your awareness back into body or your more immediate surroundings. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And if anyone wants to share or has a question, we can do that. But there's still time to ask a question, but I'll just say that you can either in your daily meditations do any of the previous ones or move on to this. This one in the Alchemies of Horus, Tom Kenyon's Meditations, is number 5. And I will, in the next few days, record one like this with the intention at the end. And I'll share that in a Google Drive so that there's no ads. But I'll also post it to YouTube, but it seems like the ads are disruptive there. But if you like Tom Kenyon's, you can do that one, and just at the end, when it's the silent time, you can just add your intention for the evolution, for the field of the relationship that you're in. You can also do, if you're not ready to move on to the double serpents, if it's not clicking yet, you can stay with the single serpent or any of the previous ones. It's really not that important which one you're doing. The more important part is that there's some activation of the energy, some rising of the energy. You don't have to feel it or have any sort of sensation of it. The intention of it alone is making a difference. So you can do any of those, but hopefully working up towards the later ones at some point. And then after the next Zoom, we'll do some practices of, for anyone who's ready, of guiding it themselves. And that's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to guide it yourself, but for those who feel that they could tune in a little bit deeper, that would be important to try. And keep documenting. And it's fine if you've gotten in some periods where there's not much meditation, just keep documenting, because we're just looking for any themes or patterns. That is anything happening more or less during the times when meditating or not. But if you can, please meditate, because that'll help us, see as you're progressing along and taking the next steps in the meditation. We're curious to see if there's any changes along that progression too. So if you're able to be consistent with it, then that's great, because we're looking for that too, if there's any changes as we move along in the process. Okay, so anything else? If not, we can end here. That is all I have for today.
Allison, I did find that if I text the recorded meditation from YouTube to myself, I don't get the ads.
Oh, oh, Great.
But it really depends on how I tap on it. If I hit the bottom part, it's still gonna, but I figured it out and I can do it. And so that might be beneficial for other people
Yeah.
that in
Thank you
your,
for sharing that. I did not know that.
yeah.
Okay, so you just share it through a text with yourself.
Yeah, I just use that share arrow and
Yep.
then I just have an iPhone and then it gives me the option to text it to myself.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm gonna
Yeah.
try that.
Okay.
Useful for all the other things on YouTube too, if that works. All right, anything else? Okay, well, we will end here. Thank you all so much for continuing on this journey with me. I appreciate your participation and all of the time and effort. I really do. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison.